I got caught.
I hit the button and I shouldn't have hit the button so early because she was in the middle of saying something.
Yeah,
to
but
me.
that's okay. I'll finish it. So, needless to say, I don't like when anybody throws anything in my face for me to read because I can't see.
So Nikki's blind. That's the update.
Only when things are close up to my face.
Good afternoon, everybody. City Talk Fall River. This is Trot.
And Nikki.
And no Derek again.
Again.
Yep. Derek is in hiatus now. He's supposedly at a wedding.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's his own is still a mystery. But yeah. I'm sharing. Oh yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have all three of us down again. We haven't done it in a while, but but now I'm sharing all over the Facebook, social media.
interwebs.
Yes. I'll be sharing that all the way around. It looks like everything's running nice and smoothly right now, so hopefully we'll see how long that lasts. We did have a council meeting. Actually, was able to physically make it to the council meeting recently on a Tuesday, and then on Thursday they did a budget meeting as well to talk about the budget. And I actually was able to watch maybe the first hour. It's only a 5-hour process, so we'll see. Regular council meetings and regular committee of the finance, the finance committee meetings, like that stuff shouldn't last 5 hours most of the time. Because if you're breaking down why these meetings last so long, it's based on a lot of council, raising their hand and kind of repeating themselves over and over again. And if it's a councilor with an agenda, then they're going to try to, portray their whole thing over and over again. If it's a counselor that has legit questions, usually if you have a legit question, you ask the question.
You ask it, exactly.
You just ask the question. You don't have all the commentary that goes with it. I don't know what's going on with this administration.
Nobody gave me any information.
I didn't get it.
Must be another buried email.
Yeah, so
Perhaps.
So like when you or you have like I said, if you have the council with the agenda, then it's
Campaigning.
they're going to ask the questions to try to
Basically
have
campaigning
an
before the
argument.
campaign begins.
Yeah, try to argue.
Yeah, those are always fun. Your record speaks for itself, folks.
So that's why I think most of these meetings end up long. However, a budget meeting should probably be a long meeting, in my opinion.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm not talking about the 10 Commandments long, but it should be if you're thorough and you're asking enough thorough questions without it being a grandstanding process.
But that's the thing. I've yet to see it not be that.
What did you think of the council during Sam Sutter's budget? Because we were pretty heavily invested in watching that one. I saw grandstanding from C8 at the time.
Yes, okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. I saw grandstanding from C8 at the time. Jazel was running for mayor. So he was going to try to portray a little bit more professional, I'm asking all the hard questions kind of a thing. But he had a couple of accusatory questions in there as well. So I do think that Jazel did run from his seat. I'm not trying to act like he didn't. But it wasn't on a grand level because honestly, Dan Rigo did a lot more I'm gonna flip the table kind of a thing when he was going through it. What about the rusty fences? He was like really, really getting angry about a lot of things, like he can do. He has a talent. But I think that budget process was a little bit more cut and dry, although there was a lot of arguing over the fee.
But it's silly arguing. Like they did all, we don't want to do the fee, and they go through this long drawn out bull.
Yeah.
And they knew they were going to pass it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Linda knew that she was going to put their stamp of approval on that.
Right.
Because this isn't anything new. Like year to year, that to me is how you pay attention to the budget.
Right.
If you're relying on people coming before you just to tell you what's in the budget, how about you do some homework? Right. So you and I have made mention quite a few times now that year after year we see this little $10,000 in a revolving account for recycling. Mm-hmm. They're not using that $10,000 for recycling. You and I both know this.
That was what was it? It was something like
budget.
Was it some type of research or something like that?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Coming before you just to tell.
Don't mind that.
It wasn't. That's going to be very distracting.
Just turn it all the way down here.
Okay.
Can't mute it though.
Year after year, we see this
can't mute it though. You have to go like this. Why does it go to mute? Oh, I know why. Keep going.
My goodness, I can't when I'm hearing myself. It's
I
very
can. I can when I'm
distracting.
hearing you.
I thought you were going to say you can when you're hearing yourself.
No. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, so as I was saying, they haven't really used it for anything. It was supposed to be for recovery or something like that. I just can't quite get the exact words it was for. But it was supposed to be for home composting.
That's what it was.
the
Home composting. Yes.
It's $10,000, and it's not just 1 year.
Home
So-
composting
so-
every year. I remember asking Dan Rigo, "What is that about?" And just
And
rolled
nobody
his
knew.
eyes. Yeah, he's
So
like,
that's
"I
the
don't
thing.
know."
So when I go, okay, so let's go to the people who've been on for years: Joe Camara, Linda,
Yep.
Ray. They've yet to ask about that $10,000.
I wonder if budgeting $10,000 to the side for home composting qualified them for grants or something to that nature.
Free cash. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
I look
yeah.
at it like it's a bank account.
That was crazy.
That's how I look at it.
I remember
They've
asking that
got-
question, and
They've
like,
got that, and that's only one of them. There were a few others for $10,000, a couple of $1,000s that are questionable. But just that one particular one, the home composting.
It was a prime
because it was in
example.
like the 2013 budget, the 2014, the 2015.
Composting barrels.
Yes, those two.
Yes.
And nobody ever talks about
Yes.
it. So to me, okay, so when you go 4 years, 5 years, now you're talking 50,000, 60,000 total. Well, if we've spent $60,000 on home composting, well, where's the evidence of
Where's
that?
the results? Where's the savings?
Yeah, what are we
Where's
spending
everything?
it on?
Right.
So to me, those are the things that I care about. Don't be complaining about how big this particular budget is. Meanwhile, you're letting all these other little things pass through, because then you're telling me you're not paying attention to the entire budget.
But I particularly recall the budget, the budget for last year. That one was a very high grandstanding opportunity for our city council at that time because of the privatization of the sanitation.
Oh, they
hall.
boo-hooed that thing.
It was that was some of the most high level grandstanding for a budget I've seen in a while. And we had no idea if they were going to pass it or not. I think that some guys were threatening to do, when Sam Sutter had the budget, there's no way that we could think of not passing this budget, because then we would go into
Oh, even when Flanagan was
Yeah,
the mayor,
yeah.
because that's when I met Mitchell, and he had the little tears.
We can't have
in
a
his
112
eyes
budget. We can't
and
have
all
a
that.
112
we
budget.
can't go to a 112, and I'm looking at him
Right.
like, really?
Right.
Until this day, they can't explain to you what occurs when you go to a 112 budget.
we can't do it. It's financial suicide. The city will go under.
We'll be bankrupt. We won't be able to
When
pay our
Jazel
debts.
Correa ran, and that's the thing. We sound like cheerleaders, or maybe I sound like a quote cheerleader when I point this out, but they can't. They have to call me a name because they can't face the fact. The fact is, when Flanagan was the mayor and tried to run a budget, when Sutter was the mayor and tried to run a budget, this city council, particularly Linda, Ray, the older ones, were all about, oh, we can't have a 112 budget. It'll be financial
Right.
suicide, right?
Even though they were supposedly against the purple bags and initiating all these things, the
All the
$10
stuff.
fee and all that.
All the stuff that's a burden on taxpayers that they really wanted to do because they have a true belief that the government's job is to raise money. So they went and they did that. They threatened the public with, oh my God, we have to pass a budget.
Safety, the safety, our
the
police
public safety,
and our firemen.
public
Yeah.
safety, the whole 9 yards. You got threatened over and over and over and over and over again.
The kids in the schools,
The entire thing was a process.
we need this money.
When Jazel Correa ran his budget, and he rattled the cages of a few people when he ran his budget, because not for nothing, but Meg Mayo Brown put forth a budget request, and Jazel sent it back to them with looking for like a $4 million cut from
Yep.
that budget request, and they got it. And then that stemmed off a whole bunch of other things, but we'll stop there for a second. Then he rattled the cages of the sanitation department, of course, getting rid of the Sanitation Enterprise Fund, getting rid of about 23 workers or so.
Did we get rid of them? Or
No.
did we swap them to other city
I'm just talking
departments?
about getting rid of
Okay.
them out of the department.
Okay, so we got rid of those.
We cleared that space up
Yes.
in sanitation. Let's put it that way. Then on top of that, we incorporated.
Let's call them positions and not people.
Right. We incorporated the easy disposal contract, which is a 10-year contract for sanitation hauling. Jazel Correa, when he decided to do this, presented numbers. Whether or not those numbers are accurate, that's on him. But he presented numbers, and the union did not. And any city councilor out there that
Right.
was opposing this move did not provide any of their projections.
They kept saying they
Particularly-
had them, though.
Well, one did. Well, two did. Because particularly Richard Cabaceres, councilor at the time, was saying that he had projections, but he never, ever showed those projections to anybody.
He wanted
And-
to hang on to them until he ran for mayor.
Well, we'll see those projections now after the fact when the contract's already been passed and everything. And Ray Mitchell, Ray had 4 lawyers, he said, that were looking at the contract and said it was no good.
And then it was 6.
Well, yeah, it went up to 5 one time on his radio show, and I said, Ray, is it going to keep on going up every time you mention it? So there was a group of lawyers that Ray Mitchell had that apparently were playing down this contract, and so we spent a lot of time listening to Ray Mitchell, Rich Cabaceres, and then and Linda, and also Sean Kadim were all talking about how bad this could be for the city, and then Cliff Ponte jumped in on it as well, and he looked very disheveled when he was going through the process as well. So there was a lot, and it was long and it was drawn out based on this fact.
Thor agrees.
I just knocked over Thor because I had the tap on my table while I was talking. Now we got a new budget. Now we have a new budget this year, and Jason Correa is he looks pretty proud of the budget. You can see the
they
look on his
always
face.
look
yeah.
so proud?
Well,
They
no,
always look
I think
so
sometimes
proud.
when they come out the budget, they're like, oh,
Well,
here we
you
go.
can't, you can't talk about last year's budget and not talk about him abolishing the $10 per month
Yeah.
per unit fee.
Yeah.
So they weren't happy that he was able to do that either.
Well, Nikki, I had somebody at my little party last week say to me, what in the world were they thinking when they privatized trash?
Oh, I know.
Now, I know you correct people on the sanitation hauling and all that, but so I just said to him because I
It's
don't
simply
think
the hauling of our trash. They
yeah,
make
but
it
no,
so
but
complicated.
on top of that, I don't think he was gathering what the burden was on sanitation.
And the
Well, sanitation
taxpayers.
was on the entire budget.
Yeah.
Because and there were 3 instances in our history, and I'm pretty sure you could probably point out a couple more, but I know there were 3 significant moments that I remember where trash became a conduit to raise money for other areas.
Absolutely.
First, the implementation of the purple bags when Flanagan promised that this would cover for fire departments and the school department, and I think even potholes. And I just think he was saying whatever he could say at that point in time. And then the second time that was significant to me, and again, I'm obviously going to leave the mic to you on this topic, but what was significant to me was when Sam Sutter first took over as mayor, and he did one of the few things that I will always say was a good thing for the city, was when he brought Alan Silva in and a few other people, and they opened up the books and they looked at how the budget really was, and came to reality that our financial situation was dire. And his first move to really start to, quote, raise revenue was to implement the sanitation fee and really just go down the whole entire sanitation line to try to raise money for the entire budget. And that ended up with a $10 per unit per month fee, which was just unbelievably oppressive.
Yep.
And illegal. So then
Illegal.
so then the third time around, and this was my favorite, most significant moment for whenever sanitation gets brought up for budgets.
Oh, I love that too.
It's when
It's my favorite.
it's the subcommittee for budgets and the audits and budget preparation, where Councilor Rich Cabaceres, Councilor Linda Pereira, and Councilor Sean Kadim we're all
Wow.
we're all there And they started off with the whole fact that Jazel was rattling the cages of the school budget and looking for a $4 million cut from the proposal. They didn't like that, and they allowed citizens input where children would go up there from the school and
Yeah.
they cried and they begged for.
Trash. They begged for a trash fee is what they were doing.
No, well, they begged for money. Let's just put it that way.
That they were getting
And
from
then-
the trash fee.
And then Cliff Ponte, who ran on wanting
Abolishing
to
the
get rid of the bag and the
I
fee.
said he would never be able to do that.
Well, I didn't. Now, I mean, an effort would have been nice, but he actually first off the jump was like, well, what can we,
Yeah.
what can we do about this fee, right? And then the rest of them started to bring up the fee, and then Sean Kadim implemented his local receipts position, where this would turn into local receipts if they had the fee. It would
Right.
turn into local receipts, and then they can use these local receipts for other aspects of the budget, which I would love to know how that differentiates from a tax, right?
It is a tax. It was an illegal tax.
That's just the way I
that
look
they were
at it.
trying to find a loophole.
There you go.
To go.
So again, everybody talks about how they want to get away from sanitation talk. Everybody wants to talk about something else besides trash. However, 3 very significant moments where there were budget problems and they went to sanitation right away to try to solve that problem, or to not even solve that problem, to perpetuate that obligation to your wallet. Go ahead.
And they still are. Jazel included.
Well, with the bag, they still got
Still
the
are.
bags.
And the transfer station talk. That's,
keep going.
That's still a part of trash, trying to get revenue from trash.
Yeah.
And again, I'll reiterate, the only way that Fall River will reduce the amount of money we pay for sanitation is when we reduce the trash we generate.
Right.
That's it.
I'm trying to find where they showed a pie chart of the expenditures. They showed a pie chart of the expenditures, and I'll try to keep my eye out on the budget. I have the committee for finance meeting running in the background with the volume off right now because I'm trying to see where they actually showed the pie chart. But I remember most of the pie chart, and the pie chart shows the majority of our spending going towards the education department, about 43%. And if I'm wrong on the percentages, I apologize. I don't have the pie chart in front of me. Somewhere in the 16, 17 ranges was the next highest, which was the insurance. The next was the pension, which was around 10%. And then, so right between those two, you have about maybe 25% between benefits right there. And then the next was public safety, which was somewhere around. Well, actually, I think they might have been right behind the health insurance. Might have been in the teens as well, as far as public safety goes, between fire and police. But as Jazel was going through it with the group that he was speaking to, he was pretty proud of the fact that they were able to reach out to the city council's requests for certain things that they wanted to see in the budget. So they were able to gain a few more firefighters. They were able to gain a few more police officers, and net school spending was not only met, but he was able to go above net school spending according to this budget. And I think that Sean Kadim had some questions about the local receipts, but it wasn't a complicated process for Jazel to answer. He just said that we never, we just went to each department and said, put together a budget that you need, and then we're going to see if we can meet those needs. It was that's the way that Jazel basically described it, very cut and dry, which I don't think fully answered Kadim's question. So maybe that local receipts position will come down the line again.
I'm sure.
Because I'm pretty sure somewhere along the line that sanitation fee is going to get brought up again in the conversation. That we should have never got rid of it in the whole 9 yards. Because that's been Kadim's like hard line
And that would be
position on
and that would be unfortunate and sad. And indicative of why they all need to get out of there. Like you can't. If that's always the go-to is never, well, let's look through the budget and see what we can eliminate, what we can cut.
Yeah.
It's never that.
Never.
So when you and I can go through the budget and year after year see that silly little $10,000 for home composting, when you and I both know it's not there, why aren't they? I understand it's only a little amount, but if there's that 10,000, and then in this department it's 15, and then in this
adds
department
up.
it's 17. That adds up.
Yeah, it adds up to free cash.
Right, but and what do I always say?
Yeah, I know.
That's banked for free cash. So then they could come forward and say,
Look what we
"Ooh, look what
saved."
we saved throughout the year. Our departments did such a good job without spending money."
What makes me laugh a little bit though is the fact that when again Sam Sutter opened up those books and you saw that we didn't have a whole lot of reserve funds at all, 500,000 I think it was, maybe even less, and then you turn around and all of a sudden Jazel he says in this budget he has about $6 million, right? So I'm kind of like thinking to myself like, all right, we knew that it was a ploy, free cash was a ploy back in the day. Why was it only 500K? Where did that money actually go? Because we know that Jazel's using the free cash as a boost for his campaign and things like that. But where was the other money going? Hold on, what are you writing? Yeah, always. And as a matter of fact, there was a conversation that Linda Pereira, and again, I did not listen to the entire meeting, and I will, but it was a 5-hour thing, and I just didn't have the opportunity to listen to it for 5 hours this morning. However, what I did see was that there was a question because there was a question of a document that Linda had where it was about $26 million or so was spent towards the health insurance, and the budget had like about 25 and some change. Or it might have been like a $400,000 difference. And Sahadi had to explain to her that, well, if you look at page 238 or whatever it was, you can go to that page and you'll see where the rest of that money comes from. It's grants. It's federal funding.
Yeah.
We get about 53% of our budget funded by federal aid. We would be in dire straits if we didn't get that state aid and that federal aid. Like, we would be in trouble.
But there's also a lot more grants that the city
I'm going
could
to call
go
it
after.
I'm going to
and
call it
they don't.
external aid because when I say external, that's a combination of the two. But yeah, I'm sorry, you say?
I said there are others that they could go for and don't, which is also baffling.
Like?
Different ones within education, or how there are certain grants that the city has received but haven't used those grants toward what they were for. That's the other part of it too.
Like the SAFER grant during the Flanagan administration.
There's a lot of grants. There's a
Yes.
lot more grants, not just within the city. The school department gets a lot of
EPA?
grants.
Yep. Yeah, the school department gets grants.
They do.
Wow. Speaking of school department, I have to say that our friend Edward Costa is not running again, I believe. And I know that it was announced that Melissa Panchley is not running again for school committee. Wide open spot out there, Nikki.
No.
Wide open spots.
Nope. I have more power as a resident. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
You can be a resident and a school committee member.
No, thank you.
That's double
No,
power.
thank you.
If you're
My daughter has one more year left in the Fall River School Department, and then we're out. No more Fall River School Department after that. But I will say this: since the new superintendent has come in, things personally for me, as I see them as a parent with my child and my child's school, things have gotten much better. And I'm not saying that because I wasn't fond of Meg, because I honestly thought this guy was going to be
A
a lot
disaster.
like her. I thought
We
he was
thought-
going
we all
to
thought
be,
that, yep.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be very similar to her.
I agree.
But I do give my respect to him because he treats the children with respect. So that's the difference I noticed where Meg wouldn't really,
She was Darth Vader when she walked down
she
the
wouldn't
hallway.
really, at least
She needed that
at
music.
least from my child's experience in where we are. But Mr. Malone is he's very good
So here's one of the pie charts
for now.
where it talks about it'll
Well, I have to
change.
say that because everybody be like, you said you liked him, but things can change.
Things can change, and the same thing with Jazel right now, right?
It's not a matter of liking. Either
They're doing a job or they're not.
Either
right.
I agree with the job you're doing or I'm not. It's not personal. Like, these people are cool personally.
They take it all. They take it all.
Yeah, they get all upset. Oh well. Get over it.
So here we are. We have the operating budget. So where does the money come from? And they have a pie chart there, and they talk about state aid being 52.8%.
It's not shocking.
Lots and lots. Local receipts that Sean Kadima has been focused on, 8.5% of the budget money comes from that. 36% comes from real estate taxes. 0 from, quote, other sources, and enterprise indirects. I'm not sure what that is. Some people, I'm pretty sure they may have. Well, I'm thinking like that's enterprise
I'm
funds, right?
curious.
Enterprise funds, maybe?
Oh, enterprise indirects.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably the enterprise funds. Or at least
line,
to some degree, something. It's not the fees, I would imagine. It's not the fees. But yeah. So that was that.
I'd be curious to know what those are.
And,
And I'd also be curious to know where the revenue from the purple bags falls
Like-
in, because that technically, right now, as we see it, it's not part of the enterprise. The enterprise fund was abolished, so that, as far as sanitation goes, so that would ultimately be for the water and the sewer department.
There's
because-
a-
and,
there's a
and
other
EMS.
sources.
And EMS is also enterprise. Those are the only other enterprise counts.
there's an other sources block there, and there's a local receipts block there, and I wonder if maybe that
The
comes
other
with-
sources say zero.
Right.
And then local receipts, but are they considering the pay-as-you-throw trash bags
The other-
as local receipts?
The other, that's what I was just saying.
Wouldn't that equal a tax?
Possibly.
Because otherwise it would be considered a fee and
because if
not
the money,
a local
because
receipt.
we've never been told where that money is actually going, what that money actually pays for. We've never been told that. Is it paid? Is it paid
And how
for-
much money
Yeah.
we take in versus what is actually spent to get rid of the trash, not including other things. And remember, it all needs to be separated.
So again, they may have explained what that is in this budget as far as what the name of it is and what it consists of. But again, I need to listen to the whole meeting. I did not listen to the whole meeting before I
I'm
did this.
surprised that
so.
enterprise would be so low, considering EMS is doing pretty good.
It might not be what that is though. That might be something different altogether.
No, EMS would have to be in the enterprise. The
Yeah, but
enterprise
not.
resurrects.
I mean, it's
It
possible.
can't be considered local receipts.
It's well, you're talking about 300 and what was it? $304 million. 2.7 of that. It might be enough money. Huh? Look at him, huh? So there was some conversation at the last council meeting about approval for certain positions in Jazel's administration. There was a lot. They wasted a lot of time, and you know who the culprits are. Challenging this particular position. It was an assistant position, and the problem here is that the person was already getting paid for 2 months worth of salary, and they were going to get it if the council did not pass it. They were already aware that a stipend was going to come in.
Yep.
The problem is that there was confusion as to whether or not the stipend was a lump sum payment
Oh, come on.
or prorated. And it was clearly stated that this was going to be a prorated account. However, somebody had to prove that they were right.
So ridiculous.
So they had to have a conversation over and over again and go back and forth and go back and
It was
forth.
an hour-long
It was drawn out. I'm not sure exact time, but it was drawn out way longer than it needed to be. And at the very end, they said, it's prorated.
Maybe that person does that specifically so people can stop watching.
I was looking up into the sky like, Lord, what am I doing? Why am I here?
That's why I don't go, because if I were to physically go to the meeting, I would end up saying something.
Yeah. Even
This is, people like, run for city council, you don't understand. I could not sit there like that.
I was in a conversation with someone today about it who I feel very the same as you, that they would make a great city councilor because they like to dig and they get a pat. Like, I like to dig and I can find all information, but you guys have an internal passion for it, you and this other person. So like to the point where I'll get inboxes. Well, you used to send them. You don't send them so much anymore. But I'll get inboxes like crazy about all this information. And I'm like, wow, like I don't have the time you have right now to go into this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I will, but not right now. I wish I could talk to you about it, but I can't. So, and that's why I feel like, yourself and this other person would make great city councilors for the city, or at least somebody that plays a role for city councilors from a very unbiased position.
But it's a great thought, and I understand it and I appreciate it. But the fear that I have, right, and we see it so often, is that when you have a person that you want to run, because I've even said it to other people too, I think you should run for office. But at the same time, are you like when people say that to me, it's because they don't want to do the work. It's like, not that they don't want to do the work, but they know they're not going to do the work. So they want to trust me to do that work for them.
That's a difference. That's a difference maker there. Because I know when I say you should run for city council, I'm also trying to get myself involved. So what I'm trying to do is strengthen up our actual city council. When I say it to you and that other person, and actually another other person, I feel like when I'm saying it to you, I'm also running. Remember when Derek made that joke about, imagine if you ran and won and Trump didn't? I'm like, well, why would you want that? You want two people on that care about how this works. You know what I mean? That's why I encourage certain people to run, because I just want 9 people up there that care, that are going to dig, that are going to put in the work, you know?
I do too. But what I also want, and what I want more than that, is for every eligible voter, right?
Yeah.
Or even if they're not eligible right now, become eligible,
Right.
right? And vote, learn about it and vote so that they can decide. Because it sucks that we shouldn't, you know, when Jordan says, oh, we shouldn't have to vote, I agree, we shouldn't have to. But us not voting means that a certain type of individual is the one who ends up getting the votes, and everybody who doesn't vote loses. They inevitably lose.
I agree.
So I would hope that they would all, I want everybody to be so involved that they do that. So when I say I can do more as a resident, I want people to heed that and think, oh, wow, you know, how as a resident can I change things?
So the person who I was talking to this morning about, you know, saying they should run, they said to me exactly the same thing you said to me, though, because you both got that Fall River heart of, like, if things are wrong, I'm not always going to express my frustration in the most productive way.
Right.
I'm going to flip out.
It's going to be like West Side Story if I'm there.
So that's what she basically said to me as well, is that she would not handle misinformation, lying, all that stuff.
Pontificating,
Yeah,
that
very well.
word. If I heard, I would be that person that would be like, oh, come on already. Like, really?
Point of order.
Why
Point of
don't
order.
you shut up? Like, that would be
Please,
me.
folks. Please.
Yeah,
Folks.
like I can't, it would end up being it would end up not a good, in a good situation. So I'm just not, my personality is not meant for quiet. And here's the thing. We've seen some back and forth between counselors.
Yes.
Picture me in that situation.
No.
It's not going to happen. If any, like, especially a male counselor who ever thought he could talk to me like I was less than, they would be embarrassed.
What's your position on throat lozenges?
They want to have them, go have them.
All right, just making sure. Just double checking.
You could always swallow it. You could always wait. You don't get up in the middle of a meeting, especially something important. You can't complain about something, right? When then 10 minutes before that, you weren't even in your seat listening to what was being said.
Interesting.
So that right there is, and I understand she's got a lot of people who like her, and
Lots.
there might be a few things that she's done for the city, but her time is up.
Couple.
Her time is up.
The time is now, actually, is the slogan.
Time is up. Well,
No.
really?
Yeah,
Are you
her
kidding?
slogan is the time
and I
is
didn't
now.
even know that, and I just
I
said
know.
that. So Nikki is changing it to your time is up.
Well, they feel like the time is
Like
now.
a pop-up timer and a turkey. We could put that there.
There's gonna be a push that, you know, the Fall River is ready for the first female.
No, it's not.
Mayor.
It might be, but not her. Much in the same way where I said it's going to be like a Hillary thing. Why? What was one of the reasons I said Hillary didn't get elected? Because she's part of the older establishment. Linda, you're part of the Fall River older establishment. Time's up.
I think that's very accurate. I think that
B team.
That's a great analogy.
She's now part of the B team. I can put her in B team status.
I just don't know about, you know, I don't. From my position, people have already asked me, Dan Rigo, there's a kid out there who's running for city council. His name is Mario Dorigo, and I'm friends with him on Facebook. I'm friends with a lot of people on Facebook that I don't interact with every day, because people just, you know, you get on friends lists, and, you know, that's how Facebook and social media usually is. But I saw him announce that he's running for city council. He's a correctional officer. If I'm not, I don't want to say it's in Dartmouth. It might be in Bridgewater, but I'm not sure yet.
We don't care where
No, but I'm just, if anyone's interested in looking out and looking for his page or anything like that, he's out there on Facebook, Mario Dorigo. At any rate, he mentioned he seemed like a really good kid. He seemed like his heart was in the right place when he was talking about some things. He inboxed me a couple of times, and we had some pretty productive, back and forths there. Dan Rigo jumped in on the conversation. Old city councilor from the establishment days.
Estimentation?
Yes, Estimentation Dan Rigo jumped in.
Wow.
And he jumped on, and because he's been on Facebook pushing for Linda hard.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he's doing it in the way that I believe Linda is directing this process to go. Look at the parks, look at the streets, look at this is wrong, this is wrong.
And how long has Linda been a city councilor?
Couple of years.
Like, so keep pointing it out. Keep pointing it all out.
Couple of years.
I love when she points things out.
They're trying to tap into the frustration of the Fall River voter in order to sway them their way. So Dan is all over Facebook taking pictures of the city.
Oh,
look
I
at
love
this,
it.
look at
I
that.
love it.
It's time for a change.
Is
that kind of
there
thing.
one of his house by any chance?
I'm not sure.
Aw.
So
How about outside? No?
I'm not sure.
Maybe there should be.
So he jumped on the Mario Dorigo thread with me because I was saying, "Hey, congratulations! I hope you do well. Good luck, everything." And I was just, I'm running too. We need some new faces out there. Somebody with some new mentalities. And Dan goes in there and he goes, He just jumps right to it.
And I like Dan too.
Do you support this mayor? And I was like, there's some things I like and there's some things I don't like. And then he's like, are you going to vote for him? And I'm like,
why do people ask that?
He went right to it.
Why does it matter who you vote for?
And I said to him that, from my position, I don't want to campaign for a mayor, right? I think that city councilors in the past, and I said this, city councilors in the past.
Oh, what he's trying to do is box you into a corner.
Exactly.
Get out.
So I said, city councilors in the past have made this huge mistake of aligning themselves with mayors. I'm not going to do that with Jazel. I'm not going to do that with anybody.
Just because, all right, I'm going to say it just because you just said what you said. Yeah. As soon as you told me that Dan Rigo was out there on social media pushing for Linda, the first thing I thought of is he's going to run for council again.
It's possible.
That's the first. Or is it because he's thinking Linda goes to mayor, what position is he going to get put into? So see, this is because you too are part of that establishment.
Truth.
Keep pushing it.
Yeah. I got nothing to say
So while he's
about
asking who you're going to vote for, I already know who he's going to vote for, and I already know how he's going to vote because he's got a record to show for it.
He aligned himself with there's pictures out. There's all kinds of photos and whatnot out there. He aligned himself to Sam Sutter when Sam Sutter was running.
Yep.
Linda Pereira aligned herself with Sam Sutter.
That famous picture of him, Ray,
and Linda.
And Linda
They were
together
all
with
cheering
their arms
on
up. Woohoo!
Sam Sutter. They all believed that he was going to give them the benefit from whatever it
$10
was.
monthly per unit fee. They all passed that too. They seem to forget that.
So
with the frustrated taxpayers who care so much more about a park than they care about that $10 fee that you all approved. Come on now.
So I'm in a position of.
I'm psyched.
So I'm in a position of people are going to probably ask me these questions over and over again. I got some of my best friends accusing me of being a Jazel cheerleader.
So what? Who cares what they say?
No, but I'm just saying from my perspective, I'm going to talk about things that I like and don't like about this budget, things I like and I don't like about policy. And if I happen to like a few more things on Jazel's side than I do from, let's say, Linda's position on things, then it is what it is. It's not because of a bias.
You
or
mean you
because
won't
I'm
be a
trying to align
hypocrite?
myself. Nah, it is what it is. I've seen these two go at it from a council seat before. The roots are very deep when it comes to the rivalry between Jazel Correa and Linda Pereira. It goes back to when Jazel was in school. That's how far back it goes. And I don't have all the details of that, but I do know that much. And, whatever happens between these two, what I'm hoping for is that the city doesn't get caught up in the warfare, because we need to start getting on the right track of the city. I'm not trying to campaign from here. I'm just saying it's the truth. We need to get back to putting the city first, and it's not right now. So local receipts, it just so happened to pop up.
Oh, lovely.
Now it's a little blurry, so I can read off.
I can't even attempt it.
I can read off exactly what this is. You got motor vehicle excise tax money. The receipt is going to be $500,000.
What does that look like? A minus? That looks like a negative. It is.
Let me see that. Is that a little minus sign right there? I hate
Looks
this,
like.
huh? Yeah. Let me see.
Sure does, yeah. that's
Yeah.
what I was saying.
So it's a negative 500. So the budget itself, I guess, is going to come down to 300,000 on that. Is that a plus sign?
No, it's a negative.
Because it says increase, and the decrease would be in parentheses. But
Right, so that means that they spent there and they were in the negative for that year. That's how I take it. They're in the negative for that year.
and they were in a
So now
positive
for
here.
this year, they're up.
So they're up.
Which I can't, it's too blurry.
Because the negative sign wouldn't mean to me that they're up.
No, that would mean that they overspent.
Right.
They spent more than what they budgeted for.
So, but they didn't spend. This is a receipt. This is a revenue.
Oh, so it's less. Less 300,000.
So it's $300,000 less.
Is it 3 or 5?
It looks like a 5 to me. You know what the problem is? It's not. It's blurry. That's what the problem is here. But you have other excise collections at, I want to say it's about 1,344. Penalties and interest payments in lieu of taxes. They collected about 357,000 in there. Charges for services for trash. 2,000, somewhere around 2,665, and then fees.
Charges for services for trash. So who's being charged for those services?
And I don't, you know what, now that I think about it, I think that this number is not thousands, it's millions.
Millions.
Yeah.
Who's being charged for trash services?
Is this now, Nikki's bringing this up, the charges for services for trash is just
$2
about
million.
about $2.6 million, 2.7 about that, right? So that 2.7 has got to be the purple bags.
Or is it? Or is it just that we started charging the people we should have been charging a long time ago?
Fees.
$2 million, is that housing? You know how housing gets recycling and part of the pilot? There was a pilot.
I remember the
If
pilot.
trash is $8 million, $2 million can't possibly be the purple bags, right?
Possible.
Aren't they supposed to make over $3 million with the bags?
Look where we are right now. Local receipts.
I know.
So I you know,
That would mean it's a tax.
it's 8.5
Although
of
it
the
says
total.
fees over there too, which is why I'm so confused.
It's 8.5 of the total revenues. So you have that going on, but we still to this day do not know if what is collected for trash, period, whether it's the bags or not, what has been allocated towards residential and
Yeah, we don't even know where we collect trash from.
residential or public services. Is it residential? Or are we paying for more than residential? We don't know. But if it's a fee, if it's truly by definition a fee, then this should only pay for the actual residential side of the services. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
So I just think it's, you know, like you have one line that says charges for services for trash. And then if you look, wait, if you look right underneath it, it says fees.
Yeah,
What fees? Fees for what?
1.2 mil, just to give you a heads up.
Uh-huh.
2.5, I believe, 2.599 is in licenses and permits.
Mm-hmm.
What a racket. What a racket is licenses and permits. What a racket.
Well, it depends on what license or permit.
I don't care.
Because there are some, because I will say this. The new homeowner in my neighborhood, you
yes,
know,
yes.
he did receive a knock at the door because they were putting in a pool
Yeah.
and didn't realize that they needed a permit to put in a swimming pool,
Somebody must have ratted them out.
obviously. So, and it's unfortunate that happened. So this is how new people are being treated in the city of Fall River.
Beautiful.
Because they weren't Fall River residents prior. They moved from out of state and bought a home and have now not having such great
On a
experiences with the city of Fall River because they didn't realize they needed to pay to put a pool on their own property.
On a state and federal level, some of the money that the state gets for licenses and fees.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable that somebody who wants to do nails and hair has to give the state hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I can't believe that that's going on like that.
Well, you know what I found funny too? If you notice the latest, the last few latest censuses from the city, right? They've got one little question, and I find it so comical. They added the question that says, "How many dogs do you have?" Or like, "Do you own a dog? How many dogs do you have?" So offhand, anybody filling out that form is going to put just whether or not they have a dog. I, when looking at that form, know why that question is there. Because the city of Fall River, if you own a dog, you need a permit. You don't need a permit for a cat, right? Now, if they really just wanted the information to know about pets, right, in the census, they would have asked, any pets? How many pets do you have? The question is dog specific.
Right.
That's so they can then input the information and see if that person went to City Hall and got a permit for their dog. If not, the dog officer will be knocking on that person's door to make them go to City Hall to get a permit for their dog. Or not a
Unbelievable.
permit, but the license for their dog.
I just want to give a shout out to the public libraries. They brought in $12,924. Props
Rock
to the
on.
library. There you go, library. Give it.
And they lose money a lot of the time,
They
too,
do.
at the
They do.
library.
Departmental cemeteries.
I got ways the library could make more money if anybody's interested.
About $96,000. I'm going to touch on that in a minute with you. $96,000 for cemeteries. Departmental, just in general, $265,547. If I'm reading
This can't be
correctly.
for the full year. Is this for the full year?
This is projected through June
July
30th. June 30th, 2017. Projected through.
1st. Okay.
FY 2017. Medicaid reimbursement, 1.9 mil. Nice. Earnings on investment, 68,000. Fines, 1.3 million dollars in fines.
All right, but what fines are they talking about? 'Cause
I'm
it
pretty
ain't-
sure it's over.
It ain't trash fines.
No, bag fines. No, I don't think it's that either. So the total budget on local receipts, which is only again supposed to be 8.5% of the total revenue, is actually $21,620,355. That's a lot. That's only 8.5. Yeah, she's quiet. She's squinting through it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
This
to-
is not the best quality. When was it Channel 18 FRG TV, when they put the PowerPoint presentation on the screen, on my screen is very clear, but the actual thing itself is
Yeah,
blurry.
when it expands.
So it's unfortunate.
Enlarges.
It's unfortunate that we're not able to get the full view here. I can try to do something here, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get the full
Nope,
view here.
you know.
No. So that's probably why we had a little
I
trouble
find
reading it
that
in the
what
beginning.
was the investment thing again?
So let's go to the investment.
What does it say? Earnings on investments?
No, that's payment. Oh, okay, earn on investment, 68,467.
I wonder
was
how
60
much we invested.
It was 65 last time.
I wonder how much we invested.
You think that has anything to do with the branding? No, because again, it's local receipts, so we didn't get any money back in from the branding.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know.
That's why I want to know what the investment is. How much should we invest?
Very interesting.
Is it
I'm gonna
worth?
keep on pressing play on this and see if we get
Is
any
it worth
other,
investing?
if we have any other pie charts that
But see,
pop
those
up.
are the things that I would pay attention to if I were looking at a budget. I wouldn't really be so concerned with the things that they pretend to be concerned with.
Well,
the
who
smoke and
knows?
mirror type of thing.
You know, when I watch the rest of this meeting, I'll let you know if everything was asked about. And I'm pretty sure the way that the council has been going, they're going to want to turn every stone on
I
this.
mean, I'm still not over the fact that a few budgets ago, our city council was cool with passing the budget where the people in sanitation had gotten a $100 increase on their clothing allowance.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our
Stipend.
fire department, the guys were running without equipment. So those are the things that I, as a
Priorities.
resident,
Yeah.
pay attention to.
Yeah,
So if
priorities.
you're not looking through all parts of the budget, don't come to me with a couple of pieces.
I
of the
would
budget.
say that the council does have a talent for looking for the details of the budget and looking for the details of you know, the policies that Jazel has been trying to put down. My problem, and what I think why it's a problem, because it's not the most productive way for the city, is that when they're analyzing these budgets, they're doing it with an agenda. Not everyone on
It's
the council.
personal. It's
right. It
personal.
becomes a personal thing. And again, not everybody on the council,
And I
but
think that's where Cliff gets conflicted. Because he may have a genuine question, but because there are 3 or 4 other counselors who are berating whoever is at that desk for whatever they're trying to get across, he can't get his answers the way he needs them, because it's like he's almost, I don't know, maybe they intentionally do that to him. I don't know. It's frustrating to watch him try to get answers.
right.
on things that maybe he is curious about, and you know the other ones are only asking X, Y, Z just to pull some.
And there's a lot of times that I would have said no to some of the things that were going on, like the Faust raise, right? So the Faust raise is something I would have
Right.
voted no to, and then they went and he used his own budget money to give him that raise through the stipend, right? So why is city council complaining about that?
And that's the problem that I have too.
That-
is they
that's what
complain
I
about
have.
things they can't, then change it.
Right. So for me, like, if it wasn't a legal process, then I would have been upset about it. He's well within the right of his own to do that. And then you can say, is that the best allocation of your money? And then they could say, well, yeah, because Faust does a lot for me, blah, blah, whatever. And that's fine. And it'd be like, all right, well, if you can justify it, you can justify that. But then if
But
somebody...
see, I think that's overstepping their boundaries.
What?
If to go that deep. Because there are certain people that they're cool with giving money to without question.
I'm talking about being consistent, though. So, like, if my job is to at least question how every dime is spent in the budget, I'm going to at least say, is this the right allocation of your department's funding? That's all. There's nothing wrong with that. And then if they can say yes or no to that, boom. But to me,
But that was already after the budget was
Yeah.
already approved, so this is already after.
but I
the fact.
but who's to say that there's nothing else that that they could be dropping $5K on besides just Faust's pocket?
But I know, but if he already had it in his budget and that's how he was going
That's
to
how
spend
he's going to
it,
spend it.
that's
That's how he's going to spend
That's
it. Just for me though, like for them to spend as much time and then go into WSAR and
Yeah,
all
that's
of
going to
that.
stop too. That's insane.
You're talking about me asking a simple question
Yeah.
and just getting a yes or no from it in comparison to the high level of grandstanding that followed that. Just to try to make somebody look bad, just so later on when they're running for mayor, they can say, oh, yeah, just this guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That to me is not helping the city out. That's not doing your job. That to me is doing a lot more for
I
self-promotion.
think
and
everybody's
self-purpose.
records speak for itself, and maybe that's the good thing about the fact that everybody who's running for mayor right now, as it stands,
Yeah.
does have somewhat of a record behind them. So when you look at
Yeah.
everybody's record, who's got the best record right now?
Combat veteran, firefighter, civic volunteer, city council vice
But how
president
did they vote?
candidate.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like when you look at their records, it's kind of like, who do you want to be your mayor? I say it
Now-
all the time. I love when they talk about their record, experience, performance. Really? And Fall River is in the hole that it's in. Thank you, Ray.
I just like the fact that we've gone about 2 years now. No, 1 year. Now this budget is going to be, I believe, and I'm probably going to put my foot in my mouth on this one. I believe this budget is going to be the first time in a while we're not going to hear 112 budget. Do you think that's going to happen?
No way. These people are running for mayor. They're going to be all about not wanting to pass that budget. They will find something deep within that budget to whine about. And make it there every year, Trot. Every year that I've been paying attention, the same ones look for something in the budget to use to their advantage.
I am going to go out on a limb.
Ray is on, there's no way. Ray is there.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there will not be threats of a 112 budget this year.
I think there might be.
I'm going to go on a limb. I hope this is a caller. Nope, not a caller.
I think there might be.
My T-Mobile bill is due on the 22nd. It's the 17th right now, but for some reason
They'll let you know.
They want to let me know 5 days ahead of time.
Better than letting you know after.
T-Mobile wants their money,
I love T-Mobile.
and they're okay.
I see. I
I've had them way too long. It's time for a change. The time is now.
Yes. Ding! The time is up.
Yes, the time is up.
That's gonna be. It's a timer. We should get like an egg timer.
All right, so we talked about the budget. We talked about
Ding!
we talked about the budget. We talked about a lot of different things here. The phone number is 774-955-0533. If you got something you want to say to us, please feel free to call in.
Or
We'd
if you want
love.
to call and just breathe heavy, you could do that too.
I personally would rather you have something to say, but Nikki has her own preferences on this. I would also, there it is. Where does the money go? And here we are. That's the
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pie chart. It just popped up. It just popped up. So before
I wish I
I was
could
getting
see
ready.
it. I wish I could.
Well, I
see
can read
it.
this. I was getting ready to transition to some Bill Cosby conversation and
You were transitioning?
some manslaughter
You were
conversation.
transitioning.
We're about to. We're about to transition to the Bill Cosby conversation and also the verdict.
Do you need a transition team?
Maybe the verdict
Trash-tastic trash force.
where this young lady convinced her, I guess, boyfriend, if you want to call it that, to actually kill himself, and she was found guilty of manslaughter. So we're going to go into that in a little bit. But
Involuntary manslaughter, right?
well, I'm not sure.
I think it was involuntary manslaughter.
Possible. So it does have the pie chart. So the general fund expenditures, where does the money go? $246.5 million, and 43.4% of it, by a wide margin, goes to education.
I would like to see each piece of pies break down the pie chart
You want to see where that 43% goes to?
within the education.
I'm
budget.
almost sure that the documents that they had at the
Yeah.
city council meeting, they did have it,
Okay.
but it's not on this pie chart.
By any
And
chance, do you know what they spent on transportation?
that's going to be a big piece, and I didn't see that. I didn't see that on here, but I'm pretty sure they did speak about it. So let's just go from the top 4 or 5. So 43.4% goes towards education. So someone like our friend Jason Springer, who is from the school department, who worked in the school department, who had many, many arguments with me on Facebook about the allocation of tax money and things like that. This is the kind of thing that I point to him when they say we're not getting enough money for education, we're not getting enough money for education. 43.4% of our funding goes, or of our expenditures, I should say, goes to education. And that is not even, you can add up the next two and it still falls short by over 10%. So it is what it is. The next one is health insurance, 16.1. The next one after that is public safety, 14.9, I want to say there. It's still blurry. And then 10.5% is the retirement. So, you know, 16%, 16.1% and 10.5% for the retirement and the health insurance. So that's 26.6% between the two of them. Still,
And then they wonder why we talk privatization.
Right.
though. That's why.
right. Still, and it was about $26 million, they
Yeah.
said, right? So still not even close. If you add up public safety, retirement, and health insurance, you're just going to get barely over the education spending.
Mm-hmm.
So we spend a lot. Hey, community maintenance, 5.7. See? Right?
5.7%.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes, and that's
I
what,
can't even.
Right.
Where is that money going?
So,
Who is running that department?
But here's the thing, John Perry. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. The expenditure that we have for community maintenance is only a third of what it's about a little over a third of what we spend for the entire health insurance altogether.
But see,
Right?
what do they consider community maintenance? Because now when you first
that
said
department.
it, I thought that I wouldn't have counted the water and sewer in that. Community maintenance. When I hear community maintenance, I think like the parks department.
That's what I think.
The buildings
Yeah,
and
that's what I think. Yeah.
grounds.
Parks.
Okay.
That's what I would think that is. But I mean, again, I do believe that there's a breakdown of it
Okay.
all in this pie chart. So real quick though, you walk around the city,
Yes, I do. A lot.
you see some trash around every once in a while on the side of the street.
Yep.
We need to look at this pie chart a little bit more accurately. I think that we
Yep.
need to start placing a little bit of a more of a priority on that community maintenance piece.
We need to seriously. That's why I chuckled when I heard
5.7.
that amount. Yeah, that's. I'm not doubting it, but I need to see where it's coming from, how the breakdown is, and where does the money go. Like because when I see that, remember I said a lot of, if that includes like, is that the park trash? Is that trash from the cemeteries? Does that include that?
Well, it's expenditures, right? So
Right.
I mean, there's this community service here. There's administrative services, public safety, financial services, and I think there's a little bit there for. Let's see, what's the other one? Say investments, insurance, and other. It says. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what
like
that
see,
is.
the breakdown's not even the same. Like
Yeah.
they show you the pie chart for the money coming in, but then it's not the same as the money going out.
Interestingly
It's
enough,
different.
right?
You know what I mean? It's differently set up.
In general
The pie slice
government.
is different.
It says general government.
It's a different kind of pie.
General government is 0.4. It's interesting. It's all general government to me.
Yeah.
But at any
So
rate,
that's what I mean. Like when they say that, like what are they putting in there? Like
so at any rate, a lot of our money goes towards the health insurance and benefits. So I just, and it's a reflection of our city. This pie chart is a real big reflection of our city. The education department gets most of everything, and because of that, the pieces of pie for public safety is very small in comparison. The piece of pie for the community maintenance small in comparison. The huge health insurance cost is still there. You can look at this pie chart and say, what kind of city are you going to have? What kind of city are you going to have where we have crime up the yin yang and public safety is at just under 15% spending, right? When we have a dirty, nasty city all the way around.
it's kind of humbling when you see that the public safety, we're only spending, what is it? 14 it says?
14 point, I want to say 9.
So we'll
Seven.
call it 15. Like, so, okay, we're
Just
spending
under
like
15,
15%. And then what was it for the insurance and the pension?
16.1 and 10.5.
Like that to me, we're spending more to support
That's my
our
point.
former employees than we are to support our current. And that's, when we're talking about our public safety officers, in the fire department, thankfully now I know they're starting to get their equipment back. The staff is starting to get up. But again, I go back to our history. When you have people like Linda Pereira, who have been a counselor for a long time, running for mayor, and then you think about, okay, this is on her watch that these things have happened.
Do you realize, and I know you know this, but a lot of people run for higher offices later in their careers just so they can get that
Well,
retirement
that's typically
benefit
when
too.
they have a good career.
Right.
When they have, like, I just think she's throwing it out there just to see.
But I was going to say that I feel as though sometimes they do it, they run for a higher paying office in order to get that
Of course, to up
retirement.
their ante.
I love you. In order to get that retirement benefit at the end. And I think a lot of people saw that with Bob Correa. Sutter, and I think that if we were to modify this whole retirement situation altogether, you may have a different dynamic going on.
I believe Linda has a different reason. And
Sure.
it's this whole transfer station stuff, okay? Because we can go back years and years and years and years, and it's something that she's always wanted. Yeah. So you have to wonder why she wasn't so pleased when Jazel came forward with that information, but then it was ding ding, it's not the same company that she wanted.
I think it was Casella at the time.
It was a different company. So that to me is something that I've asked myself, Nick, do you think that Linda's running for mayor because all this talk for the transfer station, now you get the residents who have kind of stood behind it? So if she starts touting the transfer station business and I can do it cheaper and this is how we can and all this stuff, I'm almost certain that's the route it's going to take.
If we're following the pattern that's been
that's
going
the route
for
it's
a
gonna
long, long time, somewhere along the way, somebody's going to start bringing up sanitation
yeah.
again as far as a revenue source for the city. And I'm just going to be like, oh,
I've been
here
waiting.
we go again.
I've been waiting.
I know. I'll be like, here we go again.
I've just been waiting for the go.
Again. Remember that? Do you remember that song, Here We Go Again, by...
Here we go again on my own.
Whoa.
No, not that one.
Not that one. I mean, everyone knows that one. Here We Go is an R&B song by a group named Portrait back in the 90s. It was a one-hit wonder in the 90s.
I know Portrait, but you're going to have to sing the song.
It'll never happen. Not online. Not on my City Talk Fall River page. It won't happen. I'm not a very good singer. But I will.
I'm not a good singer at all, and I sing all the time.
Yeah, I guess there's just that there's a mental block in my head that stops me from singing publicly because of that.
Talk online,
Sure can.
but you just can't.
I feel like my radio voice,
one little half of a verse.
my radio voice and my singing voice are two separate worlds altogether.
So am I.
again, it comes back to mental blockage and shame.
Shame.
I have shame. You have none. It is what it is. All right.
So you weren't that kid that tried out for the talent show then, huh?
No, I did a dancing thing one time. I won a T-shirt at Laurel Lake,
Get out.
dancing to Belle
Was it
Biv.
during field day?
Yes, it was.
I
Yes.
won when I was in 5th grade.
High five.
Dancing at Lisa and Cult Jam, yeah.
You
heard
were
that.
2 years ahead of me, weren't you?
A few years, I think. I don't know how many.
If you were 2 years ahead of me, then we were in the same contest because I was in 3rd grade.
No, I won the year. It was Lisa.
No,
Lisa
I
and
won
Cult
my.
Jam.
I won
Lost
mine.
in Emotion.
That's a great
I
song.
could still do the dance.
That is a
probably.
great song.
No kidding.
But we had a 3rd grade one and a 4th grade one and a 5th grade one. I won my 3rd grade T-shirt. I was dancing to Belle Biv DeVoe
How old are
Poison.
you?
I am 37.
No, I'm definitely a few. I'm probably 4 years.
Oh, okay,
ahead of
okay.
you.
So you won yours.
Maybe even 5 because I was kind of ahead of the game.
I was in Miss Brickalt's class in 3rd grade.
Remember her?
Yes, she was very nice, very kind person, and very proper. She challenged you to be mature.
I didn't have.
She didn't
wasn't
play
a
any of
teacher.
that. She didn't play any of that. She, nope. You will repeat that again, and you repeat it correctly. I was like, okay. So, anyway, Miss Brickalt's class, I won a T-shirt. You won a T-shirt for Lost in Emotion.
I had
A
Mr. Smith.
phenomenal song, by the way.
I had Mr. Everett Smith,
I had Mr. Smith in 5th
who
grade too.
still to this day when I
He goes and works out
I
at Planet Fitness.
love him to death.
Yeah, he works out at Planet Fitness. I talked to him about a year ago.
He was
over
the
there.
scariest guy on the planet when I was a little kid.
Mr. Garofalo.
Garofalo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
8
Mr.
feet tall.
Yeah, Mr. Garofalo. he got taller every time I saw him. Him and Ahmed Pryor. him and Ahmed got taller every time I saw them. But Ahmed was a big, gentle giant, and Mr. Garofalo would step on you for
Yeah.
talking in class. And we're veering way off track, but.
But that was a nice memory.
Here We Go Again is by a group called Portrait, and it was from the 90s and was a nice R&B song. It's worth listening to every once in a while. When I play it later on, you'll know what I'm talking
Okay.
about. Manslaughter sentence. So, as far as I know, Bill Cosby has been, I guess his trial was resulted in a mistrial. So he looked pretty happy walking out. I just gotta say, man, we were talking about a little earlier. I was strongly and heavily influenced by Bill Cosby as a kid when I was young. His TV shows, his stand-ups, because he always kept it clean. He influenced a lot of other comedians I ended up liking when I was younger, like Sinbad and some of the cleaner ones that I used to watch. And just like, Theo Huxtable and all that, like,
Did you want to be Theo?
there's absolutely no question in my mind that I grew
wanted
up wanting to be that
Lisa
way.
Bonet.
Yeah. So there's no question in my mind. I always envisioned myself in that light, and it, so for me, it was painful to see all this. And I got my master's from BU, and he got like some type of doctorate from BU, and then I think they revoked it while I was while I was there, and that became a topic of conversation while I was in school, and it was painful. Like, it was physical. I didn't have a lot of role models growing up. I certainly didn't have any father figures growing up or male role models growing up. So for me, it hit hard, and I think it hit a lot of people hard of my age. That mid 30s. When they were teenagers and little kids when the Cosby Show was on,
I loved the show so much because it was so family oriented, and my favorite, even now, my favorite episodes are when they used to sing, like for the grandparents' anniversary.
Oh, the Night and Day.
When they would,
when Rudy came out and did Night and Day, yeah.
It was just like so fun. I'm like, I want to do that. Yeah. So it is difficult. I understand where it's difficult to see him. Yeah. In the light that he's being painted in.
You don't want to believe that he did that,
right,
coming from my perspective, but it's hard not to look at all the people that have come forward, the people that haven't come forward and said anything.
Right.
It was the more telling, and you mentioned one of them, Lisa Bonet.
Yeah.
Now, you think about if Bill Cosby is this person who used his position of authority to exert himself physically on women, you got to remember Lisa Bonet would come in and out of the show.
Yep.
She was never a consistent member of the show. And then they gave her own TV show called A Different World. And she didn't last in that either.
Nope.
And I wonder if there was always something going on there.
I always thought
that was the first thing that made me that I thought of when I heard all these women coming forward, and I was, it was really upsetting at one point. I'm just gonna. So I've kept just real quick, and I'm gonna come back to this Bill Cosby thing in a minute. But I just got the operating budget, the general fund expenditures. Where does it go? And now we're able to look at the actual numbers. So I said something about $26 million. That was off. That was a different conversation that they were having. The insurance, the 17% of insurance is actually $41,430,000. The conversation of $25 million, I'd have to see it again, but Linda had a question about something like that. But the actual expenditure, the actual pie chart that shows the expenditure of insurance money is actually 41 million. Wow. Education is at 43%. Education is just over $107 million. And your pension, and I think that's where I got it mixed up. It wasn't insurance, it was pension, because the pension number is $25 million. So that's the conversation that Linda and Sahadi were having. And remember I mentioned about the 400 or so in grants that was covering the rest of that. So that's that. General fund expenditures or expenses, just about $16 million, just under $17 million. So you have a ton, what is it, 66? Just about $67 million between pension and insurance in comparison to 107 from education.
Wow.
Yep. It's quite special.
Wow, that's so crazy.
It's quite special. So anyone tries to tell me that we don't need a change in our benefit expenditures is way off base. They're a union guy. They have to be a union guy. And again, I'm not trying to have a war with unions. I mean, if I ever try to get bullied by them, it's going to be a different story. But there's a place for everything, maybe. But that is ridiculous. That's way too much.
The bottom line is there's no money to pay them if there's no money coming in. No matter what. At the end of the day, if there's not enough coming in, they can't be paid.
So you're gonna get. That's why we need a wellness center.
Yeah, well, that's bullshit. That's why we don't need a wellness center. We do not need any extra benefits and added things going on to employees.
The argument is that it's going to bring healthcare insurance costs down.
No, it's not. And I got news for everybody. Y'all gonna, when anybody going to the wellness center then gives the city of Fall River the right to get all of their medical information, including their family's information. So let's say we get the city insurance and the city covers my husband. And my husband, had maybe a little bit of a drug problem when he was younger, right? But he's been clean for 30 years. If I go to the wellness center and the city of Fall River has the legal right, regardless of the HIPAA law, because this is what your Congress is trying to.
This circumvents the HIPAA law, everybody.
Yes, because
this circumvents your privacy, period.
And this is at the federal level now. They've been changing the law, so it trickles down to good old Fall River. Because I wondered why they were talking about a wellness center, and then it dawned on me once I read this other piece, is that they will then get all of your medical records. So even if your children are covered under your city insurance, the city of Fall River has the right to get your children's medical information. What this also does is then gives the city insurance companies the right to raise your interest rates because now they have all of your medical information.
Yep.
Welcome to the world of the wellness center, folks.
Shameful. But yeah, if anyone ever thinks that we don't need a change, every budget season, every time I see pie charts like this, it tells me that we need to have a drastic systemic change, and that's the financial burden that is really hampering us down in Fall River is this pension and insurance. It's a back-breaking financial situation. Not to mention reasons why we want to be able to allocate every bit of spending that's going on in the education department, because analyze and allocate, because we really want to see where that money is going, how much of it is benefiting the classroom. Is it as expensive as it needs to be? Probably not. I'm going to side with probably not. But yet here we are, $107 million of our money, and most of it coming from state aid anyway, goes towards the education department. They call it state aid. That's still taxpayer money. Just want everyone to know
Because
that.
that comes from the state taxes
Yeah.
you pay.
Yeah.
And then
It's still-
from the federal taxes you
It's
pay.
still tax money, guys. I mean, it's all tax money. You got to remember that. That's all your money.
You mean the government doesn't own a tree farm where they can cut down the trees and just, no?
They've been printing money every once in a while when they need it. I know that. Not the state, but the
Feds.
federal likes to do that.
Oh, we're running out? They make it
We're
rain?
we're in trouble.
You think?
We're in big time
You
trouble.
think?
Oh yeah.
When did you realize that?
Yeah, we're in big time trouble. But this is very bad. Like this is very, very bad that we have $66 million, over $66 million allocated towards benefits. That's just incredible. And how much is dedicated to fixing our city? How much is dedicated to potholes? How much is dedicated to, street sweepers and stuff like that?
We'll drive down a street like Laurel Street,
Yeah.
which was done, within the last 10 years it was done.
How
And-
much-
And look at it.
Oh my goodness.
Listen, that is not, they're complaining so much about that and it's really irking me. Talk about snowflakes.
What the person getting
Anybody
arrested?
who is upset over this, they're a snowflake.
This looks crazy.
This is Julius Caesar, and it's been done for years and years. They did it with Barack Obama, and nobody said a peep. They do it with everybody, and nobody says a word. But because it's Trump, everybody is going bananas.
I don't think
And then
this.
they talk about, oh, yes, it is.
Oh, was it a Trump guy that was interrupting
It
it?
is a play that's being put on in Central Park about Julius Caesar. And when they put on this play, they usually modernize it a little bit.
With the president.
So they modernized it, and
I
of course,
see.
just because it's Trump,
Oh, that's what that is.
they're blowing it way out of proportion.
Sorry, guys, because Nikki and I have to explain what's going on just now. Nikki and I were obviously talking about the operating budget and the pensions, but a video from
yeah.
Fox News popped up behind me,
Oh.
and then when it popped up, it was showing Shakespeare in the Park being protested.
Yes.
By what Nikki
Yes.
calls a bunch of snowflakes, which is
Yes, because
interesting.
it is. They honestly, you know how many times I hear people talk about liberals and libtards and all this stuff, okay? Your snowflakes, your special snowflakes. We got the most special snowflakes sitting in the White House. Seriously, people go to the depths that whatever they can to get whatever for this guy. Give me a break already. That's Snowflake. This is a play that's been put on forever. It's not like the Kathy Griffin thing, because I side with everybody on the Kathy Griffin thing. Like that was absolutely ridiculous. This is something completely different. They just want to make it the same.
At any rate, I pulled up the Fox News report anyway, just because it was the first thing that I found in my Google search for news, and I wanted to read a little bit about the woman by the name of Michelle Carter, who has just been accused yesterday of encouraging her boyfriend to commit suicide through text messages, and she was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter on Friday.
Sad.
Now, what if you were a juror in this case, without knowing? Because I'm pretty sure you weren't like in depthly reading about this case, were you?
I paid a little bit of attention.
Okay,
to
so
it.
then that's even better. So
Okay.
if you paid attention to a lot of this, then where would you lean towards on this?
That she's a complete jackass. She's not a good human being, but I still wouldn't have. It's freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
We every day it's a conversation. We can't pick and choose what free speech we like. We just can't do it. We can refuse to listen. And there are a lot of parts to this that nobody talks about. This kid before this isn't the first time that he attempted suicide. He had attempted suicide in the past. In the past, this girl, they had only met a couple of times. They had met online. They only met in person a few times. He would talk to her and confide in her, and there were many conversations, many times where she said, "You need help. You need to talk to somebody. You need to go see someone. Maybe they can help you. You've been feeling this way for a long time." He never listened. Instead, he would come back and still tell her his plans. For me, being a girl, things that happened to me when I was a kid, I heard things like that too. And at a certain point, it's kind of annoying to constantly hear the same thing. So that to me is how when she said, "Go, you're wasting time," it's just to me, that's her. He'd already said it to her so many times, and he
She
never.
was like, get on with it already.
Yeah,
then.
yeah, like just whatever you're gonna do, just do it. Oh, you're wasting time. Just
No, I'm not saying put her in jail, but I am asking, did she have a responsibility to help him as a Samaritan or whatever you want to say?
no.
She knew he was gonna kill himself. She had an opportunity to try to stop him, and she chose not to.
So did his family. It wasn't the first time he tried to commit suicide. His family said he was greatly depressed. They noticed all of the signs, and nobody thought to go through his computer to see what he was texting people. Nobody thought to do a little bit more on his end to check into the things that he was doing. You can't use, because, listen, as a parent, I'm sure they're heartbroken, but they can't blame her for their son's actions.
I think they do.
I'm sure they do. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
they blame her, but they can't. It's not her fault.
And would we all deny that she had an influence on him one way or another?
Nope. I will deny that, because she told him to go get help and he didn't do it. So if she could tell him to go get help and he didn't do it,
But then tell him to
but
kill
then
himself.
tell him
and
to
then
kill
he
himself
does?
and he does it, she's the scapegoat. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you can't have it both ways. You really can't. And this is the first way to stop freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech. You can't, just because she says that. So if I say set your house on fire, is that the next step? So if I tell you to set your house on fire and you set it on fire, am I going to get arrested because I told you to set your house on fire?
I guess if I told you I was going to set my house on fire and you knew that I was going to set my house on fire and didn't stop me, and then I die and other people in my house die, but you knew that this happened, that's a little
Well,
different.
it's a little bit different because
Yeah.
it's murder, because there's other people in your house.
That's what I mean. but you didn't start the fire. It
Right.
was always all right, never mind. But you didn't start the fire, and I am the one who's responsible for starting the fire. So you had freedom of speech, right?
Well, I don't know if you would even consider that freedom of speech. It's just not.
Yeah.
I don't control you.
I don't think that she's.
It's not like I paid you to do it. If I were to give you money,
Yeah.
and say go set your house on fire, now it's different because I'm paying you to do it.
Huh.
But if I just tell you to do it, it's up to you whether you do it or
I just
not.
think if you know somebody's going to do something damaging or wrong or
All
deathly.
right, you might have a moral responsibility, but not a legal one.
That's why I said no. I'm not talking about jail time here. I'm talking
Yeah, no,
about.
like I said,
I'm just talking about in
like-
general.
like, I don't think
Like, would
she's-
you be mad at her if you were the parent of this child? I'm not saying would you want to
I
put her
don't
in
know.
jail.
I don't know.
I'm saying would you be mad at her?
I probably would, because I'd be looking. I would be just taking it. I'd
Right.
probably be mad at everybody.
So
to be
I'm
honest.
just tapping into normal human response. That's all I'm doing. I'm not bringing the legal
Okay.
ramifications into
Talking
this.
about the legalities, because
Because I think
just
you
got
can make a
found
claim. I think you can make a claim that she doesn't belong in jail for this. However, I'm putting myself into the human emotion part of this, the human factor involved in this, and I'm wondering that if that was my boy, and and she was influential, in some level, to that, I think I'd be mad at her.
But then who gets to decide how and why she's punished for that?
I'm not even sure how the rest of that goes.
Right, and that's
Do you know what
where
I'm saying?
saying
I'm
that's
not
where
even
I'm
sure
saying
how
we
the rest
can't-
of that goes. I just know
We can't have
that
a world like that, though.
I just know that this action happened, and the cause may not be a legal ramification for jail time, but there was a cause. And I'm just saying
On a
that
moral-
female would not be around me the next day. if this was, you know what I'm saying?
Right, but what happens? But this is the same kid that told him to go get help. If this is just somebody she talked with social media the way that it is today, there are so many apps and things that these kids can go on to talk to complete strangers. Complete strangers. This isn't like they were best friends. This is
I thought they were boyfriend and girlfriend.
This was an online thing. They met a couple of times in person.
What do you have against online relationships, Nikki?
Not a thing, but they can't be that personal when it's through a damn computer screen. They only met a few times in person. She told him to go
Sounds
get
like true
help.
love to me, Nikki.
Well, at 16 and 17, that's how they feel it. It is. But you can't take that, because we don't know what else. I feel like if she tried to help him, I've had friends like that. I've met people like that where I'm just so sick and tired of hearing their same damn complaints because they don't want to take my advice. So it's like, you know what? You want to stay with that guy who keeps cheating on you, do it.
I truly cannot in any way, shape, or form get myself to say that she's absolved of any kind of responsibility.
Okay, well, I can honestly 100% say that I have said the exact same thing to somebody in my lifetime.
What I would say is that I don't think she belongs in jail for it, because I think that's a stretch. That's a stretch to put her in
But
jail
why
for
should
it.
she be punished?
No, I just said that. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
all right.
But I'm saying if I'm that person's parent, I would be mad at her.
You'd be mad at everybody. Your kid just died.
No, I would still be mad at her particularly too. I would, and I think you would too. You can't imagine yourself in that position, and I wouldn't want
Right.
you to. But I'm pretty sure that you'd
I
be
would
mad.
be mad at everybody, but I
Right.
wouldn't blame, honestly, when it comes to depression and suicide, depression is a horrible, horrible.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say to
horrible
her,
thing.
"How dare you tell my kid?"
No, because then at the same time, I would have to say, how dare you tell my kid to get help?
Really?
Yes, because she said to get help and he didn't do it.
Yeah,
What's the
but
difference?
still,
so because it's negative and he actually did the negative thing, what if he did the negative thing just so everybody thought like that?
But she
it's
didn't
not the first
contribute to
time.
that
Sorry, I
part.
still can't agree with it.
If someone says to my kid, "Yeah, go ahead, go kill yourself,"
Listen, I grew up with my mother saying, if somebody tells you to jump the bridge, are you gonna do it?
I'm not
Sorry.
saying I'm not putting her in jail or anything like that. I'm saying,
All right,
how
I
dare
can't
you talk
blame
to
her
my
for that.
kid that way?
How dare you? How many people are going to talk to your kid in a negative way?
And you're not gonna
their
get-
whole life. You treat, you talk.
You're
teach
not gonna
your
get
kid-
angry at any of them. You're just gonna be like,
Sorry.
"Oh, well, whatever."
I think very differently.
Que
just,
sera, sera.
just the other day.
Whatever will be, will be.
Just the other day, and I wouldn't be too surprised if there's a video of me floating around, because just the other day, I stopped, didn't break it up, no fight even started. I heard kids arguing. I look behind me, and I see about 20 kids, 15, 20 kids lined up, and about 10 of them like this with their phones.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is going to be a fight. So I walk over
get
and I
ready to
get
rumble.
directly in the middle of it. I say, sorry, guys, not today. I can't let you fight. So the one kid says, this other kid's talking crap about me and my family. You know what I said to him? Are you really going to let what somebody else says affect you like that?
Yep.
You're going to end up getting in trouble. You're going to be the one who gets suspended, not him. Don't let what he said have any personal effect on you. And that's just my line of thinking. So
You're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. I'm just talking about the fact that a kid killed himself and this person encouraged him to do it. All I'm saying is, as a parent,
she
I would be
also-
pissed
but you
at
can't-
her.
But you can't say that without saying she also discouraged him
Yeah.
to do it.
Okay.
She discouraged him from doing it.
Yeah.
That has no weight on anything. That has no bearing on anything.
Aren't you supposed to discourage somebody from doing it?
All right, but when did it become her responsibility to
I'm
be
not saying it's
his-
her responsibility. I'm saying, aren't you supposed to discourage
She's not
somebody
his
from doing
keeper.
it?
She did.
But, all right, so she did that, but are you supposed to encourage
Should-
them to?
Okay, so he's supposed to constantly tell her, I'm gonna kill myself.
I'm not talking about what he's supposed to. He's clearly the one that has the friggin'
Right,
problems.
right. So
but
it's
what I'm
his, it
saying,
lays with
but what
him.
I'm saying is, she is supposed to discourage him. She was never under any circumstances supposed to encourage him. No.
She wasn't supposed to discourage him either. Where is that written down, that when somebody tells you that they're feeling bad about themselves, that you have to make them feel otherwise?
We're talking about somebody who is going to kill themselves, right?
Right.
We're talking about Samaritan here. Good Samaritan type of thing right here.
I don't
right?
know.
I mean, that's what I was talking about for the most part. The morality, we brought that. Is she morally, that's what.
Right, but you can't
Right.
discount what she
But
said
if we're
at the
talking
beginning.
about, from a parent being angry at somebody over this, we're not focusing on the fact that the lady or the Michelle Carter said, "Oh, I tried to help him," and he refused it. We're not focusing on that part. We're focusing on the part where you said, "Go ahead, go kill yourself,"
But why are they just focusing on that part?
because that's the part that obviously
That's the part
led
that
to.
everybody wants to focus on.
That's the
Nobody
part
else
that
is
led to
focusing
him.
on every other piece of this kid's life where he already attempted to commit suicide.
Because that's the
That
one
had nothing
part
to
that
do
she
with
was
her.
not supposed to do.
No, sorry, you can't. My daughter's friends are nowhere near responsible and never will be responsible for the choices that she makes. Sorry.
Again,
I have plenty of children,
I'm
and
not
have
ready
never
to. I'm not ready to put
held
her
their
in jail.
friends responsible.
I'm not
for
ready to
what
put her
their
in jail.
actions are.
I'm not ready to put her in jail. But I do agree with parents that are upset with her about this. I'm sorry, I am. It is what it is.
Parents can be upset with her about that. The thing is, Trot, any parent on the planet, God forbid something happens to their child, they're mad at the world. And to me, they were looking for an excuse for somebody to blame for their child's death. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the blame for themselves. Because let's be real, as parents, it was their responsibility to make sure their son didn't kill himself, not some girl that he was talking to online. Sorry, it was their responsibility to make sure he had the help he needed.
Unfortunately,
that's their responsibility.
Unfortunately, they didn't encourage him to kill himself.
All right. Did they discourage him from doing it? Did they get him exactly the help that he needed? Were they there for him the way that he needed them to be? They can't ask a stranger, another girl, or even a friend to do what they weren't willing
They
to
could
do.
probably ask other people to not tell him to kill himself, though.
They could also ask their kid to stop bothering somebody, or maybe to go get the help when she was asking them to do that.
I
in the
agree,
first
but
place.
I'm just saying,
Well,
no
if you
one,
wanna bring up- I
no
know
one,
you're
no,
just
we're talking
saying,
about, yeah, I
but
am
if
just
you're
saying that
gonna
we're talking
just say
about the
that, you
moral,
need to bring up
but
what
if we're
she
bringing
said
this
before
up,
that.
but if we're bringing all this up,
You need to mention
are
what
we
she
going,
said at
are we
the
going
beginning.
to ignore that one thing can be more influential than another? If the kid is already in a depressed state, and you tell him to
that's
kill
not
himself.
her fault.
I'm not saying it's her fault that he's in a depressed state. And you tell him to kill himself. Are you helping?
I didn't say you were helping.
No, I'm saying,
But when
is
she
that
tried
helping?
to help, nobody's
Right.
giving her credit for when she tried to help.
But because it gets negated by her encouraging
But
him
and
to
it
kill
shouldn't.
it.
And
Why
it
not?
shouldn't. Because we don't know if he was bothering her. We don't know what else he was saying to her.
And
And
it-
as
yeah.
a human being, as a girl
I think we
who
do know what
has
they were saying
had
to each other.
a guy say, as a girl who has had a guy say, I'm going to end my life. They've used it as excuses before, and I have said,
Yeah, but
go
was
ahead and
he?
take your life.
But those guys that do that kind of thing, they're looking to gain something out of it. Like, oh, if you come back to me, then I won't.
We don't know if he was
No,
doing anything.
we do have the correspondence of all that, don't we?
Not everything.
All that was there.
3 years worth?
It's all supposed to be there.
It
It
was.
was on trial.
3
It
years
was just
worth.
like Paul De Silva and
It was
Flanagan with the
disgusting.
text messages.
And they got away with it.
Yeah.
This girl, all she
Not
said
credible.
was
But hey, listen, I'm just saying, I don't think she was helping in that moment. She
I
wasn't.
never said she was.
And I think because of
I
that,
never said she was.
and because of that, I think that all parents out there that are pissed off at this lady have a right to be.
And I don't.
It is what
I
it
think
is.
you should teach your children not to listen to what other people have to say.
I-
And if they need help, to go find it.
This kid obviously was not with a full set of deck.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
And I don't want to say it like that. He was depressed. Depression is a
Right.
bitch. Sorry.
Right. He was already down in the dumps and ready to do something wrong to himself or whatever. You know, I just don't think encouragement is helpful.
You've never been around that person who's just so annoying. They're constantly complaining about the same thing over and over. And
If it was it was about killing themselves.
and over and over. But apparently, he told her he was going to do it so many times before that and never did it.
That's a different.
So
That's a
it's like
different
calling
category.
bluff. Sorry, to
That-
me, it's like
That's a
it's,
different category. I don't
yeah.
call. No,
Maybe
I just
it's
don't do
because
it.
you're a counselor, you see it like that. Maybe it's your job.
Oh, am I a snowflake?
No,
Am I a snowflake?
no, a snowflake is much different. Than
Oh shoot.
That's not.
I wonder if I'm like a liberal snowflake now because I don't want people killing themselves.
Oh, don't be a jerk. Don't try to play. No, seriously, don't go try to play that with
No,
me.
but
You're
I'm just
sitting there
saying.
and you're going to sit there and talk about, oh, but we can't negate the fact that she told him to kill himself, but you're seriously ignoring the fact that she told him to get help.
Again, I'm going down this line. Telling him to get help is helpful. Right?
Yep.
Telling him to kill himself is not.
All right.
All right?
Okay. So what do you want to happen to her?
All I'm saying is, as a parent, again, I'm understanding where they're coming from as to why they were pissed off at her.
Maybe they're just really pissed off at themselves.
They could be.
Which is so we can't.
That's possible.
So let's go back to the reality of it that this girl
And I let the
was
record,
found
and
guilty.
for the record, we're going back to the legal part.
and is going to serve jail time.
we're going back to the legal part. I do not think she should be in jail for this. I'm saying that.
Her whole life
It's a
is
stretch.
ruined.
Right. Ah, well. It's a stretch She told somebody to kill themselves. So I don't feel too bad about it. I don't, but it's a stretch. It isn't.
You've never told somebody to go kill themselves?
Never.
That's crazy. I have several times. Not going to sugarcoat it.
I mean, I've wanted somebody to die, but for very specific reasons. But no, I think that, you know, from the legal standpoint, it's a stretch to put her in jail. I don't see that.
Insane.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. But
And
obviously,
it's
to have an
beginning of
emotional,
much worse.
but obviously, it's natural to have an emotional response towards someone who says something to your kid like that. I'm just thinking like a human being.
Their natural response has nothing to do with the legality.
No, I agree.
don't know, so why do you keep talking about her, the parents? Like, it's driving me crazy as to what the whole point of this conversation is.
I'm just talking about the human response. That's all I'm talking about. The human response. That's all I brought up.
But then you
There's a
started
reason.
talking about the legality of
There's
it.
a
Then
reason
right
for
back to the
people.
parents.
No, but there's a reason for people to get riled up about it. Is what I'm saying. People, I don't know why they're all riled up. There's a human response there to get riled up about.
But
There's a
not
reason
as-
why people can be upset about this. There is.
But not to that degree, Tra.
Not to put her in jail.
Maybe because I am an actual parent, like it's not to that degree. You
Hmm?
have to put talk about the pacification of America. Like that's part of it. You teach your kids the words that other people speak don't have that effect on them.
And this is
It's
I don't
it's
I don't
words.
think this is gonna. I mean, it could. I guess it could.
It's the
But this
beginning
isn't.
of much worse.
But this isn't I don't see this as the beginning of taking away your free. You know, there's so much stuff out there that has already gone after your free speech way more than somebody killing
And now
themselves.
this gives it the precedence.
What's the next
Because-
step, though?
Because the next step online, when somebody says something that somebody else doesn't like online, now charges are going to get filed.
But isn't that
Or
already
I'll just
going
try
on? Mm-hmm.
to kill myself, or I'll pretend to kill myself. Or then you got a girl who wants to piss off her boyfriend, or a guy who's not interested in a girl and they stop playing this stuff. This is going down a dangerous
But
road.
aren't people already getting arrested for like speech?
Yeah,
Like
of course they are.
didn't John Creedon get like the
Absolutely.
police to his
Absolutely.
It's already this door has already been open. It just so happens that this person killed themselves. That's the only difference. But it's this still been going on for a while now.
And she was charged with his murder. It's not just that he killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
She was charged with his murder.
Involuntary manslaughter.
Yep. Sad.
It's very interesting
Very sad. For typing some words.
to kill himself.
Sticks and stones, buddy. Sorry.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's because of the way I grew up. I couldn't care less what anybody says to me. I've had people say so many crazy things.
You're
and I laugh.
not depressed though. You're not
I have
depressed.
been.
I know
I
you
have been depressed where I've been on medication in the past.
I think if the kid was in that kind of situation, you pointed the finger at the parents. I think the parents do have a role.
And I don't mean it for them to feel guilty.
Maybe they
but
should
I
go to
feel
jail.
Like,
Hey, would you
no,
put the parents in jail too?
Not at all.
You're a snowflake.
I am. Special one. I personally feel like they feel guilty for the things that they feel that they couldn't stop.
Right.
No matter what, guys, if somebody's going to do it, they're going to do it. Okay? Nobody is going to stop
You're not.
you.
Yeah, you're not going to.
Nobody is going to convince you to do it if you don't really want to do it.
True.
And nobody is going to stop you if you really do.
Yeah.
That's it. So maybe that's because I think like that. Because there are people who have said it and said it and said it and said it, and it's not that they want to do it. It's they gain attention from it.
If you saw somebody standing on a ledge, saying they were going to, someone you knew, someone you cared about on a ledge, and they said they were going to jump, would you just be like, all right, go jump?
If it was the 8th time they were on that ledge, I might.
Interesting.
Or I might go get a sheet or something, or one of those, like they did on the cartoons, and
Okay.
hold the sheet at the bottom just in case.
With a hole in it?
Just in case they jump.
With a hole in it?
I would do that.
With a hole
But
in
I'm
the
not a
bottom?
fan of. I don't like weakness, I guess. Like,
Right.
so I think people need to be a little bit stronger and not be so sensitive about every little
Well,
thing.
standing on top of a building is a huge attention-seeking, behavior when it comes
Right.
to that. Most people aren't up there because they want to kill themselves. That's a cry for help
Yeah.
at that point in time. So it's a little different. But I was just kind of using that as an example.
But there's a lot more examples. There's people who jump in front of cars. There are people who call the police. They commit a crime so that they could get shot. And this is where I'm saying, so this is precedence now. for other things, to open it up for other things. Like now, so everybody's got to be careful. You haven't said something that you regret saying, or when you're so upset, you might say something.
You know that 1984 was the very first
Good book.
Yeah, that became a top-selling book the day
Orson
that
Welles.
it was January 26th of this year. It was the most it was the most selling book of the year. It was like a bestseller for like a long time on January 26th, 2017, right around the time that Trump became the president. So it was 1984 that the book came out by Orson Welles, and it's about, government control, Big Brother watching you. All your freedoms have now been taken away. Everything is regimented by the government. Where you go to work, how you sleep, eat, breathe, relationships you have with people. Everything was monitored by the government, and it was very interesting. There's some other books out there that talk about how we've been duped by the government in many ways, or controlled by the government in many ways. And people are afraid of it at all times. And how can we deny it? I mean, we see it in almost everything we do. If I want to drive a car in this country, I have to get everything licensed. They have to know all my history, everything. If I get pulled over,
permit before you even get a license.
Yep. If I get pulled over, they're going through my entire history of everything.
Yep.
If I want to get a credit card in this country, they have to know every bit, a piece of everything in my background. Mm-hmm. If I want to get a passport, if I want to do anything in this country at all, they need to know everything about you.
Did you hear the new thing with airline?
What?
The fingerprints online? Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the new way you
They
can
have
get your tickets.
They have radio frequency chips. They're called RFID, radio frequency identification chips, that they can stick in your body.
Like they did with dogs?
Right. That's exactly right. Well, they can monitor you everywhere you go. As a matter of fact, it's in your cell phones. They can monitor you everywhere you go, even when your phone is off. And if you notice, you really can't take the battery out of an iPhone, can you?
No.
No.
And if you download apps,
Yeah.
read them before you download them, because the majority of them, you give that company, whoever is the developer of the app, you give that company permission to see all your photographs, to read all your text messages, to get all your contacts, even when you're not using the app.
You have your freedoms have already been, there's no reason to wear a tinfoil hat and lock yourself in a house, because it's already here. The conspiracy theorists have already been
They got the
correct.
facial recognition drones.
Yes. And there's facial recognition software out there that will recognize your face in stores just so they can email you and tell you what kind of food you want or what kind of things to buy. It freaks me out. I'll mention something in an inbox to somebody, and then the next thing you know, I have an advertisement on it on Facebook on the side of it. So they're monitoring everything you do. I mentioned like the Wu-Tang Clan one time to somebody in an inbox, and I got Method Man and everything else on the side for an advertisement on the side on Facebook. So you're in trouble. It's already here. It's already come.
Didn't we discuss a few months ago about what was it? The Amazon, one of the stupid.
The Alexa.
Oh, the Alexa.
Yeah.
There was a company who had a commercial that they were putting on TV, and on the commercial on TV they said, "Hey Alexa, who has the best XYZ?" And it was the exact line from their Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. So the way they did it was so that the actual Alexa would then pick up the commercial on the TV.
Wow.
And they ended up stopping it. Wikipedia removed whatever it was. They ended up fixing that so it didn't happen. Or Google removed the Burger King word. I think it was Burger King. Removed the Burger King Whopper from the thing. It was something like that. It was kind of funky the way they did it.
So, I mean, just know that if you really want to stand up and take all that back, what's beautiful about it all is you still have an opportunity to do it. You always have an opportunity to do it, but you got to choose to get off your butt and do something about it. That's the difference. The only reason why all these freedoms have been taken away from you is because you've allowed it to happen. You've become very sedentary in what you want to do. Complaining about things on Facebook is only 1.1% of something that you can do about it. That's nothing. Talking about what a badass you are and how you ain't letting nobody take care, blah, 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 and then you have to go and get your license and everything else. It's the same thing. But if you actually got people together, people who have a like-minded frustration, and got together and went to your state legislation and told them and threatened them and said, look, I'm not voting for you because you're doing this and you're doing that. We want our freedoms back. We want our lives back. We want our individuality back. You can do that. You can always do that. But whenever somebody tries to get people to do something like that, it's, oh, I got to go do something. It's, oh, I can't do that. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. And then you end up in the same cycle all over again. Mm-hmm. Guess what, Nikki?
What?
Do you remember them saying that they were going to legalize marijuana? Mm-hmm. There was about maybe a 16% tax that they were going to agree upon when they voted for this, all the people in Massachusetts. Well, your state legislation right now...
It wasn't 16% at the beginning. The way that it was written out, it was a very, very low percent. I want to say it was 3.
Well, it was 16, and according to the last article I saw.
They must want to raise it to 16.
They want to raise it to 28, Nikki.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. It was, when it was voted upon, they said when it was voted upon, it was at 16. And that's what people were.
It was at 3. I'll have to double check.
However, now they want to raise it to 28.
Yeah. To be more on par with Colorado, though.
I agree.
So it's okay. They can raise it.
Oh, I mean, if there's precedent, yeah. But it's about lack of trust, don't you think?
No, it's about money.
No, I know that, but I'm saying in a way, you trusted the process, not you personally, trusted the process by voting for it, agreeing that it was going to be this number, and then they pull the wool right out immediately within 6 months.
Because if anybody who voted for it read the entire thing prior to voting,
it was out there.
It stated in it that the numbers could change.
Oh yeah.
After 1 year, so if you notice, they are dragging it out until it gets to that 1 year.
But don't you think that they started it at that number just with the intention of going up?
No, they didn't care about that. The people who wrote it up wanted the number to stay low. The people who were against it,
vote for it.
Right. The people who were against it didn't think it was going to pass. So they didn't care enough to actually get in there and put what they wanted in there. Mm-hmm. They were like, we got enough. This isn't going to pass. Well, now...
I just think it's disingenuous because when they voted for it at a set number. People resolved themselves that they would vote for it at that set number. And now it's not that set number anymore.
But it wasn't going to be that set number because if you read it, it stated
No, I know. I'm just saying they had the opportunity to vary it.
And that they could increase it.
But they don't give you the choice to increase it. They increase it.
Right, but you can grow it at home. So I look at it
You're
like
not allowed to. It's illegal.
It's not illegal. You can have up to 6 plants in your house. It's illegal federally. That's the truth.
Yeah.
It's illegal federally, so in essence, you can. They're not really controlling you at all. You could, they are. Granted, no, it shouldn't be. It should all be legal. We all know this, yada, yada, yada. But I'm sick of saying that because we know that. We know there shouldn't be any illegal drugs. They should all be legal. Want to legalize them? Legalize them. We know the only reason they're doing it right now is monetary purposes.
Maybe we should text message the government and say, legalize it.
Or kill themselves?
No, just legalize it. Let's just start small. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. This was a good one. Did you like this one? Really?
Yeah, I don't like you giving me a hard time about
stuff.
This whole thing, yeah.
See? I'm supposed to just agree to everything Nikki says.
No, I think that's why you did it.
No,
just to egg me on. I
absolutely
watched
not.
a little smile on your face when my face was getting hot. Yeah, I saw it.
No, I truly believe what I was talking about. I wasn't playing devil's advocate.
But this is prime example as to why this girl can't be a city councilor. Do you see how hot my face got?
Every time me and Nikki do have a debate, if I don't fully agree with Nikki and she debates with me, she gets heated.
Well,
She gets heated.
I have that skin thing. So the second I get frustrated, my face is red.
I hope Miss Anonymous listens to this one because we went back and forth. We weren't at each other's throats like that protest one, though. Remember that protest one? The Oregon protest? Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
That was a fun one.
When you were saying all kinds of bad stuff was happening.
It was.
Because you were believing the media. Hey, but that was before they started. That was fake news, right?
Yep.
It was before they started.
It was actually the conservatives that were saying that there was protests all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. about that one.
And they were just little.
It's just the protests. I don't like to see anybody get hurt. But that's what I was talking about, like a protest where they're not burning people's property and destroying things.
You
Like
still need to watch that documentary. For anybody who is paying attention, I believe it was Chauncey on Facebook. There was a documentary about a group they called them the Weatherman Underground or Weather Underground.
Yeah, I know about that.
That is such a cool documentary. Well,
I know
speaking
about that,
violence,
but I don't know
though,
about
but
that,
it speaks to the violence that can play out during protests, and
Absolutely.
it actually made me understand where the violence came from a little bit more.
Are you going to ever go back on Facebook and
I don't
start
know.
posting again? Is that something you feel like doing in the
I-
future? Or
I
no?
don't know yet. We'll see what happens. I'm working on a few things.
TUIFR is still kind of bleh. I barely go on it anymore.
Well, it's because certain individuals wanted it to be that way, so it's okay.
That's true. That's true.
But that's okay. It'll come back. It always does.
All right,
baby.
everybody. Thank
It's like
you
a
for listening.
zombie. Gets better after death.
I liked this one. I guess Nikki was about this one, but I enjoyed it. I like when we go back and forth a little bit. And it's natural. It was a natural one. That was a good one.
Oh, you mean it wasn't like any of the other ones that we made up before?
No, but I'm saying, like, you know how some radio shows, you can see it, especially like the sports ones, they'll
Well, they
make
don't
up their
put
own
any.
arguments.
Yeah, but they don't like. I don't know. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. So we'll be. I don't think we're gonna be back next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I need next week off.
Okay.
I need a break. But no, everyone have a great weekend, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Happy Father's Day for everybody for Sunday.
Sure. Happy Father's Day for everyone else that's got fathers. I'm sorry.
You have a
it's-
grandfather.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day to your grandfather.
I'm sure my mom says it to him. It's cool.
You're one of those. He ain't my father.
No, he is. He's he's a good dude. He's a good dude. I got him. June was his birthday. June 6th was his birthday, right? I worked the entire day. I didn't get out of work till about 9. And I went to about 3 different places, and like I got like one of those gift bags.
Yeah.
And I just filled it up with a bunch of his favorite things.
Aw.
I put like a Subway ham sandwich
Yeah,
in there,
so cute.
beer, shaving cream, toilet paper, like just everything I could think of. I threw it all in there, and I brought it over, and he was like, "Ooh," all this thing.
So cute. How
Yeah.
old is he?
He was what, 75, 76, something
God
like that.
bless him.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Thank you very much. See you in 2 weeks. Have a good one.
Asta.